The 49ers at the Bengals. 49ers are -1. This was Bengals -1.5. I guess it's moved pretty substantially. Over under 48.5, which is quite a bit, quite a few points. By the way, 49ers now -1.5. So if you like the Niners, I do. Get it in now. The over 5-1 in the last 6 Bengals games. And would you believe me if I told you that the number 2 and number 3 quarterbacks in terms of pass or yards per pass attempt are playing in this game? Jimmy G and Joe Burrow are 2 and 3 behind Kyler Murray. I didn't even believe it when I saw it.
Jimmy G's actually played decent football for them.
Yeah, yes.
Which begs the question,
what do you think about this game?
Why in the hell did you pick Trey Lance?
Yeah, well, there you go. Niners -1.5, over under 48.5. What do you think?
I don't really like this game. This is a tough game for me. It really was, and because I know the Niners are playing back-to-back road games, which I hate. But not only that, the Bengals are desperate right now. I think both teams are desperate. It's kind of like a pseudo little playoff game. But I do think the Bengals will play well in this game, and I'd lean to the Bengals just because I think Burrow is due for another big game. He hasn't had a big explosive game in a long time. He played well last week. He just got beat up. He got beat up physically last week. They were down 2 linemen. And it showed up on the tape. So I'm going to take the Bengals, but I don't love the game at all.
It was Cincy -1 early in the week, and I took San Francisco +1 on Sportsline at that time. It moved on early Wednesday or late Tuesday to San Francisco -1.5. I think Debo just sent the wrong team favored when he sent us the lines there. But both teams have been hot. They're now coming off a loss. San Francisco's defense played well despite the final score. We talked about how Seattle's yards per play was pretty low, and they should not have scored that many points in the game. Looks like Fred Warner could be back in this game. I believe he returned to full practice on Wednesday. Since he lost a key linebacker as well. So even if Warner can't play, since he's dealing with the same issue on their side with Logan Wilson hurt, I'm more concerned with Joe Burrow's finger injury. It looked like he struggled to play through it. And I'm also shocked at how bad Cincy's D played early against the Chargers. I wonder if Shanahan can replicate what the Chargers were doing in that game to have some success here. I'm not really worried about the injuries to the San Francisco running backs in this game because they just, rinse and repeat with whoever running backs they have. It seems like every single year, Eli Mitchell was nobody talked about him before the start of the season, and he's become their number 1 running back. So throw whoever you want out there for that running game, they'll get it done. So my lean is still to San Francisco at -1.5, but I'm not playing it when I already took it at +1 earlier in the week.
I got the 49ers. Yeah, I put in the bet. I thought we were betting it at +1, but yeah, what am I getting on this, Devo, for my line? -1.
Yeah, RJ, that sound fair?
Yeah.
-1.
-1 was what we sent out to bet on. Now it's obviously -1.5. If I would take minus, I'm a sucker, obviously, but I would just lay my 125 rather than the -1.5 if I had missed one, mainly because I'm petrified for the 49ers to win by 1. I do think we see a ton of points in this game. This is a spot where the Bengals have really been opening things up, and this is 49ers secondary susceptible. The 49ers also, even with, when they have Deebo Samuel back, and I would say this is sort of dependent on Deebo Samuel being in there just because they were averaging over 170 rush yards per game when Deebo, in the 3 games that they won, where Deebo was in the backfield getting carries. It just opened up the flow of their offense. It made life easier on the running backs. It made life easier on Jimmy Garoppolo. I expect Deebo comes back and is ready to go for this game. I think they're able to put up plenty of points against a Bengals defense that has had a pretty dramatic slide backwards in terms of points allowed over the last 6 games. That's why those overs have been hitting. And I like the 49ers as a best bet. I think the 49ers are still very much alive in the playoff conversation. And if they can get to the postseason with Deebo and Brandon Ayuk and George Kittle healthy and they've got to get some of these running backs healthy too. I think it can be a pretty big problem in the playoffs if they get there.